Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday, June the 19th, 2025. Glad you could join us for the Technical Alpha podcast. Hope you're having a good week and that you had a good last week. Got another great show lined up for you as always to keep you company in the car, on the treadmill, on the crapper. Maybe all three somehow simultaneously. We're here. We're here for you. We're playing a support role. And we've got more to talk about this week. Let me get on over here. Bob's your uncle. Betty's your aunt. Yeah, got another great show lined up. But before we get started, of course, the most important question of the week. Mr. Black, how's your week? I cannot hear you right now.
It was a rough week. Pretty much had stomach issues all week. Starting to turn the other leaf now, so feeling decent today. Outside of that, just been streaming. Had some things pop up at some rentals, and that's pretty much it, man. It's just
nothing crazy.
Been a week.
Just
nothing
a week.
Crazy.
Other than the butthole, which was clearly.
It's actually not the butthole. It's just been the stomach. Yeah, I don't have the shits or anything like that. It's just been just IBS GERD symptoms. It's just been heartburn, like indigestion, just salt.
Hey,
just
Pepto-Bismol. You went through like the whole fucking list. Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea. Well, you didn't have the diarrhea part.
Didn't have the diarrhea.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's good. Another week is another week. Here it was take advantage of the sunshine and cooler temperatures to continue doing my outdoor work. You know, I think I said last week, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty much done what I was gonna. That was a lie. That was a complete and utter fucking bold-faced lie. I thought it was, well, to be fair, at the time, I did think that I was more or less done. But when I put out some bark mulch around one of the plants out front, one of the bigger plants, more like a tree, really, I thought, because I didn't want to mow underneath it anymore. I hate that shit. I hate having to get a lawnmower underneath of something. It drives me crazy. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna just bark mulch out far enough so that I'm just mowing up to the bark mulch and not mowing under the damn thing. And so I bought some bark mulch and threw 4 fucking goddamn tons of bark mulch underneath this thing. And when I stood back and looked at it, I was like, you know, it just doesn't look fucking right to me. It just doesn't look all that good. It looks exactly what it was. It looked lazy as shit. It looked like a lazy fucking job. It didn't look bad. It just looked lazy. I was like, I can't do it. And I still had a bunch of leftover retaining wall brick. Somehow, still more, is infinite in this property, from the previous owner, and so I did one of those things where I looked at it and I went, fuck it, and then the next morning I took Em to work because she was working at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I drove immediately to Home Depot and Kent, and I bought a bunch of supplies, and then I went back home. And I spent the next, 10 straight hours doing a retaining wall with that brick around, out and around the fucking tree, and, digging it in and too high and everything. And I've used almost all of the remaining fucking retaining wall brick now, which is, I'd never thought I'd even say that. I thought I was gonna have to throw some of the shit out, so fucking many of them. But I did it. I had to get Dad come over and help because at one point I needed to, these things were not really made to make corners, really. They have the tabs at the back. So Dad brought the saw over and we had a couple of blades that could score the concrete, and I was taking the hammer and fucking smashing that shit to make the corners. And so got that in, and it's like 90% done. I just have to do the back part of it, but I ran out of energy. I'm gonna be honest. My body was failing me. At the 10-hour mark, lugging these fucking 50-pound goddamn like blocks all over the place, I was literally getting like cramping up here at the top of my fucking arm from just like three finger and thumb, going in the holes at the top and picking the blocks up. And like hour 8, 9, dehydrated, salty as fuck, and my hands were literally just, I couldn't fucking pick anything up anymore. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll give up for today. So I did that and made use of that day, which is great. It was a beautiful sunny day, and we had wind, so there was no bugs, and that's like the dream for working outside for that kind of length of time. And I'm trying to get so much of this stuff done before I start studying for, as I mentioned before, the real estate license at the end of the month. And so I basically because of that, every time I think about something, even if it's like, do I want to do this a little bit, or does this need to be done? As soon as that question is asked, the immediate answer is yes, and I just fucking go, do it, start it, whatever. My next door neighbor came out at the end of the day, and she was like, Adam, have you taken one break the whole fucking day? I literally woke up, I opened my curtains, I saw you standing in your yard with bricks in your hands, I went away, I came back, you were still there, I went away, I came back, you were there, but now with my cat, I went away, I came back, and you were still there, you've been there the whole fucking day. I said, yes.
Yep.
Yes, I stopped long enough to have a drink. I didn't even eat lunch. I just fucking just head down and went. And then other than that, it was just, other stuff around the house, just really trying to because once I start studying, I don't want to think about
anything else.
Nothing else. Because I'm already going to hate my life studying the most boring fucking shit imaginable. Nobody finds the ins and outs of real estate, like the legality stuff that you don't even handle anyway. It's the fucking broker, but you have to know it, and we should, and that's fine, it's whatever. But my God, am I not looking forward to it. So I want nothing in my way except the usual, take M to work, whatever the fuck, okay. And then I'm just studying my fucking nutsack off. And so that was kind of the thrust of this week, was to just get everything out of the way. So I did lots of that stuff and trying to get all that done outside. I got fucked by the US. That happened this week. My butthole still hasn't recovered. You might remember my graphics card died, like, before I went on my honeymoon. And then I miraculously, we talked about it was an almost identical situation to yours, where I walked into the Canada Computers and they were like, we literally there just so happens to be one, like a 7900 XTX, which is what I had before, there. And when I was trying to figure out if it was broken, I was like, well, okay, I'll buy it, and if it's also fucked, it's not the graphics card, I'll bring it back, whatever. Turns out 100% was the graphics card. So I was like, all right, I'll keep this one. I'll RMA, because it was still under warranty, RMA to XFX, get that card back. I'll lose a couple bucks on it, but then I'll sell it, and then whatever. There's lots of people that would love to own basically a brand new or refurbished 7900 XTX for a good chunk of change. And I even had a buyer from the community that was totally ready to hop on. It's great, awesome. So I started the RMA process, and after I was back from the honeymoon, got that shit in. They had a XFX very specific instructions to get this thing in there. I was like, all right, fine, fuck it, whatever. So I went to UPS so I could dot my I's and cross my T's, and got that thing in there. It was in the original box. It was well packaged with another box inside of it. They packaged it all in front of me. You pay them to do that shit, but whatever the fuck. And then I put all of the documents, including extra documents of proof of RMA and proof of repair, inside the box. And on the outside of the box, you can get those like plastic envelopes that the zippy, or like the Ziploc bag type shit, and they stick. I got that, and I put all the same documents and copies on the outside of the fucking box. The documents for customs, because you're doing it through UPS, is literally labeled RMA and repair because that falls under a certain, block of shipping things cross-border. Everything perfect. Got my insurance on the thing because this is a fucking $1,200 graphics card. Sent it out, didn't think anything of it. It eventually gets to customs. And I'm getting like pings from UPS that there's like some exceptions and stuff, but they also said, there are lots of exceptions that don't mean anything. It's likely still going to get to its destination. And it wasn't giving me reasons for the exceptions, just saying exceptions. And then eventually I get a message from UPS back, and they were like, yeah, so customs is holding your card because the receiver didn't want to pay the shipment fee, like basically like the border fee. And I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense because this is an RMA and repair. There is no border fee. Yeah. Nothing is being sold here. I'm just sending you my shit, or sending them my shit, and then they're repairing it and sending it back. And he said, well, I don't know what to tell you. They're asking for this money, and obviously, XFX was not going to pay it. I was like, all right. So I messaged XFX, and they were like, yeah, they wanted us to pay the thing, and we can't do that. And I was like, well, that doesn't fucking make any sense. So I messaged UPS again, and I stopped getting emails from them. So I was like, all right, fuck it. Yesterday, I go in, or the day before, to the store that I dropped this card off at, and the guy that was emailing with me just so happened to be working there that day. He was there, so I walked up to him, started talking, and he's like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. They're just looking for money. And I was like, okay, can we get a little bit more specific about this? Because we're talking about a $1,200 item here. I would like to have some specificity as to what the fuck is going on, because this card's been in limbo for 3 fucking weeks now. He's like, yeah. So he spins the monitor around, and it's the message from customs. Because I had sent him in another email, the UPS guy, the proof of purchase in Canada, because they were asking for that, which, by the way, was already in that baggie on the outside of the fucking box and on the inside, but I sent it again anyway to start the appeal process with customs. But he spins the monitor around, and I'm looking, I'm like scanning, because he didn't point out where the dollar figure was. I'm scanning. And my eyes caught a number, and at first I was like, that can't be the number. I kept going down. It's like, because that didn't look right. And I realized that was the only number on the page. I said, internally, I said, there's no way. My eyes glanced back up and locked on a $650 tariff.
What the fuck?
Which is half the value of the card. They want $650 fucking dollars. US, I believe, to finish the shipment, to get it to XFX. But wait, there's more. They also want $650 to ship it back to me if I don't want it to go to XFX anymore. So they're literally extorting me right now on my graphics card for an RMA. And I don't even know what to fucking do about it. It's been appealed. The appeal office got back to UPS, said we're 6 weeks backed up.
Damn.
That was 4 or 5 days ago. So I've got another 5 weeks to find out. Now here's the real fucking problem with this whole situation, is that I'm going to assume that the branch of customs that deals with the appeal process, is different from the branch that actually holds the items in situ, and probably have to rely on communication. And if there's one thing that I have noticed just recently in the United States of the fall of Rome 2.0, is that nobody is able to communicate because they deleted everyone! Everyone's fired! They literally gutted the whole fucking goddamn country! And so, here's the problem. If that's not paid in X amount of time, and the appeal process didn't make it over to the cucklords at customs, that this is being appealed, they destroy your package!
Damn.
So I have a $1,200 RMA graphics card that I spent $200 to ship to get RMA'd and prepared in the first place, being held hostage to extort me for half the value of the fucking card. Wow. To even get back a dead card if I wanted it, but then I'm still holding a dead graphics card that can't get repaired because the repair place is in the United States at the fall of Rome 2.0. And so now I'm just here with a thumb up my ass, getting fucked by the long arm of the orange cunt himself. So anyway, as much as I'm gonna preface this by saying, believe me, my American friends, I love you. Your country fucking sucks dick. It is a goddamn dumpster fire. It is an unrepentant whorehouse of ill repute that nobody, and I stress this, nobody on earth fucking likes right now. And you might have the fucking military, and you might have Jeffrey fucking goddamn Bezos, but it don't matter for shit. Get it together. Get these fucking assholes out of government. I don't care if you didn't like that Biden was a puppet on his deathbed. Anything is better than this! Anything! What is worse that the Democrats did than let it pick something? Anything! Nothing! It's all bad! It's terrible! That's before you talk about the fact that it looks like we might be seeing the U.S. dip their wick in the company fucking ink across the pond again! Jesus Christ! Really? Seriously? Fuck me. So anyway, I was kind of hoping to get the graphics card so I could sell it, so I could help pay for this fucking goddamn $6,000 worth of real estate shit coming up here to get off the ground. Would have been nice to have that grand in my pocket that I could have had, but instead it's sitting probably in one of the U.S. Customs workers' homes right now, because I could almost guess that they just wanted a graphics card as much as it's actually legitimately being held up, because the only way that this could have been labeled more an RMA is if I paid a random person to be shipped in a box with it, and on that person's forehead it said, "This is an RMA!" It's the only way that it could be possibly any more fucking obvious. But I digress. We have video game news to talk about, Mr. Black. Marathon has been indefinitely delayed. You were right. I was right. You didn't have to be Miss Cleo to know that's what was going to happen. Let me click on this right here real quick and bring up this message. You know, I considered reading over all this, but I have it in there. You can take a look if you want. But here's the reality of the situation. Here's the reality of the situation. The uppers that made all of the bad decisions that landed Bungie in this situation with Marathon, rushing it, trying to hit like a certain release date, surely fucking it all up. That was all their decisions, and the developers were clearly asking for more time and not getting it, and then it was bad, and then everyone told them it was bad to the point where the uppers were even like, oh, we actually have to fucking delay this. So they did the thing where they said the development team talked amongst themselves and collectively decided. The developers don't have that fucking power. Stop.
No.
Stop it. Stop it. They're saying they're focusing on, I'll just give the highlights here, upping the survival game, doubling down on the Marathon universe, because this is actually based on an old Bungie IP that they just basically threw in the garbage and didn't really pay any attention to. So I guess they're going to attempt to get it more in line with the original universe. And despite the fact that they said they would never want to have it because the children would weep and angels would cry, proximity chat. It's coming back.
There you go.
All of that sounds really good, right up until the point where you realize this is probably not being released. I will be fucking shocked if this game comes out, and if it does, I would be even more shocked if it's actually going to survive the first 6 months before being shut down. There is so much dragging this game through the dirt right now that the odds of them being able to pull out, if this was a company that had a track record in the last 5-6 years of doing anything even remotely right, maybe we could say, okay, there's a chance here. The problem is Bungie's not that. That didn't happen. Bungie has been struggling to keep its head above water in every capacity for at least 5 years minimum. And so the odds that that group, and I'm not necessarily saying it's the individual developers per se, but the totality of the moving machine that is Bungie. I don't have high hopes for it. I think that we were right before. I think there's a good chance that this is what we said. That we said that they're going to delay it. It's going to be like an indefinite delay, and then it's going to be canceled. And it feels an awful lot like that's the direction it's moving. But we'll have to wait and see. Maybe they do go in on it. If they do and it releases and it's not basically a home run, Bungie is super dead, and I think Sony sells them. I think that's probably how that's going to go. So I wish all the individual devs out there in Bungie land the best of fucking luck. Except for the ones that steal art and then use it in the game. Go fuck yourself. But everyone else, hang in there. God fucking speed. Because you're going to need it. This next news, came in hot and heavy today. Hot off the presses. Xbox has announced it is continuing its strategic agreement with AMD to co-engineer gaming-specific chips for its next Xbox console hardware, but this was also listed as, consoles, handhelds, PCs, and cloud. So AMD is all up in Microsoft's business for the Xbox division. Anywhere from doing their cloud side stuff, which makes sense because AMD's cloud chips have been, or server chips have been very good for a very long time. But the interesting one there that stood out to me was PCs. So if it's a strategic partnership with Xbox for gaming chips for PCs, like, we're not talking handhelds. They've separated handhelds out and PCs out. So it's not like a handheld that's running a Windows environment. I'm just trying to figure out what exactly that means. Like, are they...
Do you remember what I said?
Well, we talked about how we're going to be going towards PCs, right? Like, literally.
I said, I think Xbox is going to just be virtually a PC.
A PC.
It's Microsoft. I mean, they have Game Pass. I mean, I really like this.
Did we talk about like the form that would come in? Because obviously the console itself, we were discussing that it's obviously going to, as it has been, evolve and get closer and closer to a PC experience. But if they're listing PCs, like, I mean, AMD is not, and nor is Microsoft really a manufacturer of pre-built PCs. But is that the direction you think this means? Do you think this is what that means?
I think the console will be a PC.
Oh, sure. But they're separating it. They're saying consoles, handhelds, PCs, cloud. AMD partnership. Now, it's possible that on the... here's my theory. There are some other rumors here, so maybe this will make more sense. It might not necessarily be that they're working with AMD in this regard for the hardware, because there's also a software component to this, right? It's their upscaling technology and whatever else they can use from AMD, their AI tech. There are other rumors that from insiders that immediately started to kick up here. The chief one here that I'll mention first is that the next Xbox console, specifically the console, is being targeted to be sold at a profit and not sold at a loss. So they're converting their consoles or changing their consoles away from a loss leader and going into a profit, which means the estimated cost of the next Xbox is likely to be in the neighborhood of about $1,000. Which, even if you just looked at
it has to be a PC.
Inflation,
it has to be a PC,
or at least as powerful as one, really. And
I actually think it has to be a PC. I don't think they survive. That $1,000 for a console that just plays Xbox games.
What's the PS5 Pro at right now for cost? I can't remember. Let me quickly. It's $700. for the console, the Pro console. So, and the leap from PS4 to PS5, I can't remember what the price gap was, but I mean, $9.99 US for a console is, I mean, one, that tells you they are selling it at a profit. Now, how big the profit margin is probably not going to be huge because they don't want to blow the whole thing out of the water. But it does show you that they clearly want to move in the direction of just having Xbox, the main drivers of revenue for Xbox be the games and not hardware. Hardware is like, do you like the Xbox experience and would you like to buy one? Yes, okay, here it is. But it's not, let's sell a box at a loss to then sell software on that box. Like, they're moving completely away, especially, I mean, this was already obvious, but even more so now, if that's the direction they're going in with pricing for the consoles, clearly that's the idea. And $1,000 US for a console is an intriguing thought insofar as that, obviously the first thing that you want to ask yourself is how much money do I have to spend to build or upgrade my existing PC or build a new one?
But nobody thinks that. But people don't think that way, Adam. You think that way.
No,
you think that way. That's not what people think.
I think more people think that the higher the number goes.
I don't think so.
It's like $80. It's like $80.
I don't.
It's like $80 games. People are starting to think, but more broadly, it takes longer for the wider market to.
I don't at all. I think console gamers. I think that there's a section of people that may think that way, and it's a small minority. The vast majority think, do I want PlayStation or do I want Xbox? Okay. They're console gamers. They think of this as consoles.
So if both if both Xbox and PlayStation's next console, which they almost always are, identical pricing, right? Like rarely for any length of time anyway, except for brief stints in the 2010s. But usually they're around the same price, or they normalize to be plus or minus $50 from one another. So if PS6, let's call it, and whatever the fuck the next Xbox is going to be, because God knows what the hell the naming scheme for that one's going to be. They're both $1,000. Do you think that slows uptake of new consoles at that price? And I'm not saying from the perspective of because people are thinking to themselves, "Oh, I could just buy this instead."
Well,
I'm just saying, do you think? Yeah, I'm just saying, do you think that is enough? If console, because if you're saying console, people are just going to buy consoles. Do you think that will be are we hitting a prohibitively expensive tier at this point? Once we start crossing that $1,000 threshold, even if you consider, inflationary stuff where people are getting used to some level of inflated cost across the board. Do you think that's like we're finally hitting some sort of like crossover point?
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of money because now you're basically breaking the 4-digit barrier here. Like just from a psychological level, like you're spending a lot of money, like a lot of money. People that want consoles, they're still going to buy a console. Like they just will. They'll find the money and they'll buy it. But Xbox will be in trouble because Xbox doesn't really have games, and that's the problem. And PlayStation has games, and I think most people that have a console already has a PC. Everybody has a fucking computer. Right? It's just like when I say everybody, I'm being a little, over exaggerated, but the vast majority of people.
They have a computer. It doesn't mean that it's a computer capable of gaming, but they have a computer. Yeah.
They have a computer. But like even gaming for them, let's be real here, the vast majority of gamers are playing free-to-play games online. They're playing fucking Marvel Rivals and Fortnite and all these other free-to-play games, which you can play on virtually any PC, new or old, to some degree, right? Like
run that shit on a potato.
Exactly. It's just the way that it is. The hardcore gamers, the ones that want to play the newest titles in the highest graphic abilities, they often already have a PC. Those are PC gamers. They are. And typically those are going to be adults, not 16, 17-year-old kids that get a console for Christmas. We're talking like people that are buying these consoles. They typically already have a PC, and they'll have to choose between PlayStation and Xbox, and they're going to pick PlayStation over Xbox because we're getting to the point now where you can actually just play your Xbox games on Game Pass on the PC you already own. You can't do that with PlayStation. So you're going to buy a PlayStation. Especially when the price tag is $1,000 US. That's 1,400 Canadian. That's insane.
We're definitely getting far away from multi-console households at that kind of pricing.
Oh yeah, I mean I think we're already there, pretty much, right? Unless you've got like a large family with like 4 or 5 kids, then you can make the argument that like, oh hey, Timmy's got a fucking Xbox and Johnny's got a PlayStation.
How
right?
many people have 5 kids nowadays? It's not that many people.
It's not that many, but exactly. But I mean, or the parents, the dad or whatever, mom might have a PlayStation and the kids might have, and it might be their thing where it's like, okay, well, I'll get, Timmy the Xbox for Christmas because we already have the PlayStation or whatever the case may be. You're most certainly not going to buy 2 PlayStation 6s. Like
no, but in terms of like PlayStation 6, Nintendo Switch 3. Well, whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have a console and you're gonna have a PC. That's just sort of where we're at now. So, I mean, now, if the Xbox becomes PC-like and it has running Windows on it, and you can watch, it's basically a computer. It might not be the most powerful computer, but it's powerful enough to run all of the Xbox games. Plus, you can play those free-to-play games like Marvel Rivals and Fortnite and League of Legends and all these other,
which you can now. Well, that's where we're at. Yep.
Right. Then Xbox has something there. If they can market it as why spend $4,000 on a gaming PC when you can spend $1,000 on an Xbox that now has Microsoft integration. Now they have an argument. Now they have a way to get almost 2 different demographics. Now you're getting the people that may not have a good gaming PC but has a PlayStation, and they might go, okay, you know what? I can have the best of both worlds. Let me just go get an Xbox. That's it. If not, if it's just an Xbox console and they're releasing with fucking one first-party title and a Call of Duty, dude, Xbox is fucked. They're fucked. So... But again, we're a long ways out. We ain't seen any of this stuff for, many years. And who knows, come 2029, the way inflation is and stuff, maybe $1,000 isn't. Maybe $1,000 feels like $700 now, right?
I think a lot of it is I think you're right. It's for consoles. It's not even necessarily the cost, I don't think, in a real sense. Like $1,000 is a lot of money, obviously, but people spend $1,000 on lots of different forms of entertainment. Consoles just have a very specific, because it's for as long as they've been around. With the exception of perhaps in the early 90s where some of them were getting crazy with it and they were trying to do some, wild pricing on some of this fucking higher end shit that was rivaling that of personal fucking computers back then. Generally speaking, consoles were seen as the cheaper entry option. All-in-one option, and it's been that way for so long that just from a sticker shock of walking into a store and seeing a console with one controller, no game, and it's $1,000 US.
Yeah, this is nuts.
That's gonna give people some pause.
It's a psychological thing, right? And people got no problem spending $2,000 a year on a new iPhone, right? But again,
it's broken up.
They are conditioned to do that.
Yeah,
and you use your phone all day long, all the time. So psychologically, you can justify spending Because if you were to break down the cost per hour from a phone on what you use, it's probably pennies per hour. Pennies is what you're actually spending, right? With a console, especially if you don't have a lot of great games, I mean, dude, people are going to go, what the fuck? $1,000? No. So, I mean, I sure as shit, I'll tell you right now, I won't be buying no fucking console at $1,000. Fuck that. I'll just play PC.
Yeah,
I'm a different demographic, right? Like
but
I'm not a.
Well,
you know?
you're a different demographic, but I think that is a. But I think the demographic you represent is a growing demographic, and it's obvious because now console game developers are fighting to put their games on PC. So the demographic for PC has gotten so large now that PC is not it's not playing second class citizen to consoles. Oftentimes there are a lot of cases where they're being built for the PC and then being ported to consoles. And so that the PC market is big enough now that that's where that's at. So when you're competing at prices like that, then yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it's going to eventually, you get to a certain amount and it does induce the thought eventually of what else can I do with this much money? Like, what are my options with this much money to play games?
Microsoft is quite literally, like, I don't want to use, I use this in a term, but they're literally grooming their consumers to play their games on Game Pass on PC. They are quite literally training.
Yeah,
they're once console buyers that just played on console to get a subscription to play their games on a computer. So that gap that you're almost setting yourself up to get knocked the fuck out, right? Unless you are creating a PC console. If you're doing that, then this all makes sense because you're saying, hey, all that Game Pass, here's an Xbox. You have Game Pass. It's just like a PC. You can hook a mouse and keyboard up to it, or you can plug in a controller. You want to go on Facebook? You want to go on Twitter? You want to go on Instagram? You want to watch YouTube? You want to watch Netflix? You want to watch Twitch? You want to watch whatever? It's all right here. All for the price starting at $1,000. Now you're piquing my interest. Because now you're going, okay, now there's some real value here. Oh, and I could just pick up and take this to a friend's house or travel with this instead of bringing all this stuff, and I can hook it up to a TV anywhere and just play, like go. Now we're talking value. If it's just video games that you buy digitally or via disc, bro, that's a hard sell. It's a hard sell.
It really is. I mean, it's a weird thing to think, but there's almost a point in which the Xbox has to, because it's not the Xbox or PlayStation can't already do basically everything that most people do for entertainment on a PC. It's all the extra shit, and you can even browse the internet technically and shit. It's just that the experience is poor. And you can't do your homework on a fucking Xbox. But like, you know what I mean? Like there's just some realms that people just would never think about, even if it was possible to do on it. So there's a bridge to cross there at some point, or a bridge to build to get people to cross it at some point. The other rumor was that the Xbox is working with Xenia Canary's emulator team, which is a well-known team that's been working on the Xbox 360 emulator for quite some time, to develop a classic, what they're in quotation marks here, classic program that will help bring original Xbox 360 games to current consoles, PC, and Game Pass with enhancements. So the rumored launch for this service, or this feature, is 2026, which I do expect, if it's not this, I do expect some major announcements next year, because it is the 25th anniversary of Xbox in 2026. So something is going to happen, or a handful of things are likely being lined up to attempt to happen in that 25th anniversary year. We know that Xbox has been willing to put a lot of time and energy into backwards compatibility and enhancing those backwards compatible games with upscaling, even some auto HDR in some old games and shit. So they're already there. They're doing it. So this would just be an expansion to that, to get even more games faster, to more platforms faster, for making sure that moving forward, theoretically what this would likely lead to is, moving forward, the whole program is to make sure that you can play your games on anything, and it's any Xbox console. The Xbox original, Xbox 360, Xbox One. You got your games, you own your games, or otherwise with the Game Pass, we load them up, you got access to them, play them wherever the fuck you want. That's what this kind of sounds like where they're going, which again, all of this is really good. Here's the shittiest part about it, and I actually had a, I responded to Paris, who is technically he's working for Xbox, the Xbox division, as more like the social side, social facing side, and it was a post about the handheld we talked about last week, and somebody was talking about how there was a little bit of he's responding to somebody about being the disappointment of it not really being an Xbox handheld. It was like, they're just. And there were things about it that you couldn't really do with it, and understandably so. We talked about it. You just took an ROG Ally and put an Xbox name on it, and that's basically what that fucking thing is. So, he had responded to that, and it was something to do with like giving them time. Like they're cooking, give them time. And my response to that was, in a nutshell, as much as I respect Phil's work, because Phil has done a lot with very little when he first picked up the ball off of Don Matrick's hands. As much as I respect Phil's work and the team's work in general, so whether that's Sarah and Matt, the Xbox hasn't been able to escape this wounded animal brand image for like fucking 8 years now. It's going on nearly a decade where it feels like the Xbox has been playing, from a public-facing perspective, behind the 8-ball, wounded animal limping, with the only thing saving them, keeping them going, and there's no disputing this really, and this is not lies, this is right off of their own fucking revenue sheets, it's money from Microsoft. They're buying their way in to a blue ocean market in a way that only Microsoft in this space can afford. Sony can't afford to do it at this scale. They're trying. They have their own version of Game Pass, more or less. But they can't do it at the scale that fucking Microsoft is doing it. They can't afford to spend basically nearly $100 billion inside of 10 years in acquisitions of some of the largest publishers and developers to have ever fucking been in the space. Think about that. Almost $100 billion in that, and creating and propping up Game Pass, while also spending $100 billion in acquisitions in the same 10-year period. Can you fathom how much fucking money that is? And that's not Xbox having generated a bunch of free cash off of revenue and profit that they banked up to go like fucking spend. That was Satya Nadella going, yeah, Phil, you convinced me, and props to Phil. He went into the room and said, here's the plan. Here's what I think we should do. And Satya said, fucking go for it. And he's been writing, I'm not going to say he's been writing blank checks. Phil would have had to have gone in and fought for every dollar they got. But these are a lot of fucking dollars. There ain't no dollars to be fought for in this scale anywhere else. And so the time that he's asking for is like all we've been talking about on this podcast is Xbox more time, Xbox more time, Xbox more time, Xbox more time. And in the last showcase that just happened here at Summer Game Fest, we didn't see Fable. We didn't see Perfect Dark. We didn't see any of the real major ones. We saw a third-party game in Outer Worlds 2 get its own fucking special show at the end, and their one more thing was Call of Duty Black Ops.
Yep. No, I know, bro. It's bad.
And his response was, with all due respect, which means as little respect as he can humanly muster, you don't know what you're talking about. And I wanted to respond to that and say, that's an easy thing to say. What am I saying that's wrong? but it was a waste of time because he works for Xbox. And I understand that. I appreciate that he's got to carry a certain way. I get it. I didn't even expect him to respond. I was just kind of general commentary. But we know from Phil's own mouth that at one point, Xbox was almost shut down. He had to go in. They had to go into the war room and fight to keep Xbox going. And then with the lawsuit with Epic and Apple and all that bullshit where Xbox got dragged in, you'll remember, we get to see the timeline. We know this next console is between 26 and 28, with 28 being the target window as of those court documents. And we also know that there was like if you can't make Game Pass work by, we have a problem. It's none of this. There's no, I'm not guessing at anything. This is just the fucking reality of the situation. And so I don't really see them. I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say here is that next year, 25th anniversary, they have to come out with well, I shouldn't say, you know what? No, I'm fucking wrong. I'm wrong, but I was wrong for what I was about to say. Here's the real reality of the situation. The only thing that will stop Xbox from succeeding and eventually having a near monopoly in this space will be when Satya Nadella stops writing checks. That's it. Because he seems to thus far be willing to co-sign or at least be the fall guy. So if the Xbox division has to overbuy for the money that they have out of their own revenue, he's willing to co-sign on this shit thus far. He's willing to spend to create this and get into this market and be the leader. So I guess really this is just going to be how much longer can they keep that going?
It's Microsoft. I mean, go as long as they want. And endless money. Endless.
It's kind of crazy when you think about it, because
they could throw $500 billion over the next 10 years, and it's putting a dent into Microsoft. Just a dent. It's crazy money, bro. So it is what it is.
That's wild. And like on one hand, I'm rooting for them because there's a lot of Xbox that, you know, when we grew up, Xbox was a big part of our gaming lives. And it's been shitty to watch them be dog water for so fucking long. So I'm rooting for them. But the problem is, for them to be successful again, it's going to come at the expense of nearly every other aspect of the industry. Because in order for them to be successful, it feels like they have to buy the success and not earn it. They literally have to remove competition through purchase and create their space, because they can't compete on any other field. They lose every time.
Yep.
It's fucking crazy work. It's crazy work. Got some quick news, Mr. Black. I do have some stuff from Sony this week. Chiefly, a little small thing. Sony may actually be removing its region restrictions on its Steam and PC games. We talked about this briefly because it pertained to Helldivers 2 earlier this year. I believe, or late last, I can't remember now at this point. But essentially, there were a lot of people that lost access to Helldivers 2 and some other games because they started employing this region lock policy with their games on the PC. And it did not go over well, to the point where it took Helldivers 2 from the #1 played multiplayer game, for all intents and purposes. And it cratered. And it never recovered. They literally... Sony stumbled into a semi-live service enormous dub and then cratered their shit immediately, and it never fucking recovered. And it's funny because Jim Ryan spent all that time trying to build up the live service bonanza. This wasn't even really one of the ones that they were banking big on, small team making this game. It ends up being the only fucking one that makes it out of the program. And they hit a home fucking run. And then Sony was like, nah, we can't have that. How can we fuck that up? And my God, did they ever. But it looks like they're finally finding a way to reverse some of that. And that will be good moving forward. After doing Silent Hill, actually no, sorry, after 24 years, Dark One, which is his username, is stepping down as the head of Nexus Mods, which is the largest library of video game mods on the internet. That's where you can go for all your Skyrim titty mod memes, of which there are thousands. That was a bit wild. I was unaware that he was still running it at the top for that long. That's a long time, because that's a huge website. But yeah, he's passing it off. He's been apparently looking for somebody to take it over. He was just waiting to find somebody that was as passionate about video game modding, because it's not just Skyrim titties, Mr. Black. There are a ton of games that Nexus Mods carries.
Also has
mods
titties
for.
and tons of other games.
Yes, it broad-reaching titties and horsecock. You can't forget there is still it's hitting all the bases. Sometimes at the same time, titties and horsecock in the same mod.
Wow.
Somebody's got to take that fall. But it's not him anymore. And then after nailing, I should say, Silent Hill 2 Remake, Bloober is now being trusted to do the Silent Hill 1 Remake, which I guess if they do as well as they did with 2, that's a big bonus. I got to apologize to Bloober because, well, their track record was bad leading into this, but they nailed it. And so hopefully they can nail that one again. And finally, Donkey Kong Bonanza got its own direct this week, and just the summary of it, because you can, if you haven't seen it already, you can find it pretty easily. But I'm describing it as Mario Galaxy with destructive environments, or environments that can be destroyed. Which, you know, if you can attain Mario Galaxy anything, you're doing well. I think Mario Galaxy is on your top Mario game list, if I'm not mistaken.
Not Galaxy.
No, I thought you were a big Galaxy fan.
I like it, but it's not like my top. I mean, Mario 64 is where it's at, man.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't mean Mario 64, but like if you
Donkey
like
Kong
top
64
3
is where it's at.
Yeah,
big fan of that, so I think I'm gonna like this. I like Galaxy. But yeah, it's up there. I mean, Sunshine, all of those. I mean, they're all great games.
That's pretty much it for gaming news this week, which means Mr. Black, it's time to tell the fine folks at home about our sponsors.
NordVPN. Oh, actually, first head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/lagtv. If you want to support us directly, you can do that. Or you can check out NordVPN. In the description below, there's a link, take you to their website, get a 2-year subscription, save 74% off, plus 4 extra months, plus 1 year, 1 gigabyte of free data through Saley, which is an eSIM service. So you get that as well with that 2-year subscription, plus a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you don't like the service for any reason, within 30 days, get your money back. You can stay safe, stay anonymous on the internet, watch different regions of Netflix, other streaming services at the click of a button. Have anonymity when you're on the internet. Doesn't matter if you're traveling. You can use it on your smartphone, your Android, your iOS, your Mac, your PC, your laptop, any and every device. Plus, if you're on PC, you can use Threat Protection, which is part of their desktop app that just runs in the background of your PC. You don't have to be connected to a VPN server in order to use it. Just runs in the background. Make sure that you're not going to malicious websites, giving you all kinds of crazy pop-ups, tracking your cookies, all that stuff. It just gives you anonymity when you're on the internet. People don't need to know what you're doing. And there's every website's out there collecting information from you. It don't even matter. I mean, if you speak about Kool-Aid liquid squirt packs here just out loud, suddenly you're gonna get ads for Kool-Aid liquid squirt packs. Guys,
is that the technical term?
I don't know. I don't know what this. It's delicious though. I put it in my water so this doesn't taste like just water. But you know what I'm saying. Stop.
Yes.
Just stop having people in all your internet business, and you can stop that by using NordVPN. Super easy to use. Click of a button, mask your IP. You know, I'm in Canada, but I can be from anywhere. I can be from the United States, Australia, UK, anywhere. And it even works in China.
China.
It's like one of the only VPNs out there that's really doing it. So go check them out. NORDVPN.com/OTT. And that's it.
Beautiful. Which means it's time for
movies and TV.
I have nothing. Is there anything going on? Yeah.
No, I mean the big summer blockbuster stuff starts next week, so
True.
From there it's just like movie after movie after movie. So I'm sure there'll be stuff to talk about then. But until then, there's not really much going on.
Now that Tommy Boy's got his out, what's following that on the blockbuster list?
Well, next week is going to be F1, so the Brad Pitt movie. Same makers of
Ford vs. Ferrari?
The Tom Cruise. No, Tom Cruise's flying
Top Gun.
Which I'm hearing this movie's pretty insane. It's supposed to be amazing. So I'm gonna be checking that out next week. Then you've got like Fantastic Four coming out. You've got Superman coming out. You've got I mean, it's just movie after movie after movie at this point. 28 years later comes out, I think tonight. I think there's an early screening of that tonight. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of movies coming.
I made the joke. Somebody was talking about 28 years later in chat, and I was like, okay, so we have 28 days, 28 weeks, 28 years. Please tell me we're not going to have 28 decades. We're going to have 280 years after the original events. It's going to be like fucking, we're in the future. Fast zombies.
You might.
Fast zombies it's a crossover with Blade Runner. 280 years in the future. Fast zombies. It's still Harrison Ford somehow. Maybe Ryan Gosling.
Or maybe it's just 20. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's like I don't know.
It's got to go to decades.
It's kind of got to go to decades. Yeah.
Shit's crazy. Otherwise, yeah. I mean, that's mostly it. I haven't been really watching. Em's been playing Expedition 33, so she hasn't been watching much because she's been addicted to Expedition 33. So there's not been a lot of Netflix viewing as of late, so we haven't really watched too much around the house. So yeah, I can't even say that I've been really catching anything. That I've just been watching. Really, it's the closest thing to TV I've been watching is the NBA Finals. Speaking of which, Game 6 is tonight, and I think, man, it's playing out. It's playing out pretty much as I expected it to so far. I think that as much as I'd love to see this go to Game 7, I think it might end tonight. I think it might be over. I think OKC is going to close it. Halliburton's injured. He literally got 0 baskets in Game 5. 0 in 35 minutes. Do you know how hard it is to be the star fucking player of your team and put 0 fucking points on the board unless it was one set of free throws? That is crazy work. So if there's no miracle here, they are playing at home. I don't know. I feel like you're so demoralized after that kind of shit. I think they're cooked. I think OKC is gonna take it. God, and they were so close. If they had won Game 4, if Pacers won Game 4, which they should have, they fucking threw the shit out of that like a Lag TV StarCraft cast. My God. Big throw. Not as bad as the one we saw today, Mr. Black, which people will eventually watch. That was, it's
a special kind of throw.
Generational throw. Not quite that bad, but the Pacers got awful close to being that level of bad of a throw in Game 4. If they won Game 4, this is a different conversation entirely. But they didn't win, and so now I think we might be watching the end of it. But it's all good. This has been a phenomenal fucking finals. Just fantastic. So hopefully, as long as the game is good. I just don't want the winning game to be like a fucking one-sided. It's like watching the Super Bowl when it's just like one team's just steamrolling the other. You just don't want to see that shit. And with that being said, it is time for
tech support.
Patreon.com/LikeTVs, place to go if you want to financially support this podcast or StarCraft or a little bit of both. It's just another avenue for you guys to help us out if you so choose. And for $5 or more a month, you get a couple of perks. Chiefly, you can ask us questions on a post I put up before the podcast called Tech Support, where you can ask us any question you want, and we answer as many of them as we can in the time that we have. Ah, yes, Mr. Black is playing Expedition 33. He talked about this, but he's doing it off stream, as he should. As he should. I do look forward to the reports. I think I'm looking forward to your reports as you progress through this shit.
Okay.
As much as you were looking forward to the Tinder files, although I cut you real short on that one.
Damn, man,
that was rough.
Good. I was living vicariously through you too, bro. It was.
I'm sorry. I did you dirty. Okay. And hey, at least it resulted in marriage. You know, if it had ended, that would have been, you know, that would have been terrible. But here we are. Marky Mark asks, suppose you'd be added as a gym leader for the next Pokemon game. What would be your theme and what Pokemon would you use? Actually, you know what? We've had that question already, Mark. What the fuck is wrong with you? Huh? You not paying attention? That being said, we have literally answered this very question before. Not the one from last week, which was like, what your favorite Pokemon are.
I don't remember what I picked. I'm probably.
I picked Psychic. I don't remember what you picked.
I'm probably going Water.
I thought you picked Electric because you wanted to pick Pikachu.
I 100% probably picked Electric before.
But we're changing it up.
Water.
Okay.
I'm changing it up.
If you only have 3 water type with you, who is it going to be then?
Blastoise. Gyarados.
Okay.
And oof. Oh man. Another water type. I don't know that many water type Pokemon. Like the original 151.
Go for a Lapras.
No.
You could go for Starmie.
No.
You could go for Vaporeon is an original 151.
Water type. Let me see here. Water type. Ooh. I mean, I'm going to go Dugong.
Dugong? Is he water or ice? Although in the original, I think the ice was ice even a fucking thing. I don't know. What do I know about Pokemon, bro?
Dugong.
I'm an old man.
It's a cool name.
Dugong. Yeah, I was Psychic, and I would have been like Alakazam, Gengar.
Oh yeah. Oh, Psychic's a good one.
Alakazam, Gengar. What would I have picked on my third?
Can you do coffee?
He's not Psychic. He's poison.
Poison?
Something. Yeah. Fuck. What was my third? Alakazam, Gengar. Fuck me if I remember. Anyway, somebody in chat will come up with something for me. Yano asks, if you could be magically part of any music band, which one would it be and what instrument would you play, if there are instruments involved?
Of any band? Oh man, I'm going Linkin Park.
Oh shit, okay.
Yeah, I'm going Linkin Park. And what am I playing? I have to play an instrument?
You don't. Well, you don't. I mean, you could if you.
I'm doing the whole DJ thing, man. I'm doing the.
Oh, you're scratching. Okay.
I'm scratching and shit. I'm doing the.
Okay. You're doing the intro to all the songs. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, why not?
What you're saying?
Yeah.
Man. Any band and an instrument. Well, presuming it's a band that plays instruments, then specifically.
I mean, if I had to pick a different type of band, I mean, I'm going Backstreet Boys because that's a boy band. I mean, I'm in. Like, I'm taking that over anything. But if I have to play an instrument, then I'll...
The token Blackstreet Boy?
Yeah, why not? I'm there for it.
But who would you replace?
I'd be in Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, like which or like not yeah. So like, who would you which of the Backstreet Boys are you becoming technically at that point?
I'm probably Nick. I'm probably Nick.
Am I sexual?
Yeah.
Fuck. You know what? It's not. Well, technically they do play instruments, but if I could be one, man, I'm going the Bee Gees.
The Bee Gees.
Let me be Barry Gibb. He got all the genetics. The brothers were in a hurting situation, but he had all the genetics.
Yeah.
Give me that, whatever that is. I don't want his life though, because that man went through a lot. I don't want any of that. But I'll take the Bee Gees. Bee Gees, and if it wasn't the Bee Gees, if I went down another road, let me be Rush. Let me have the skills of Neil Peart, the drummer. Give me that. Let me see here.
No Phil Collins? Damn, man. Phil Collins.
Phil was in Genesis, and then he went off on his own.
He's a hell of a drummer.
He is, but Neil Peart is, and Phil would tell you this, Neil Peart is literally like 3 times the drummer that Phil Collins is.
But not the singer. Not 3 times the singer.
No. Although Neil Peart did write a lot of the Rush songs. So they're very similar in that regard. So they both wrote songs for their bands as drummers. Drummers seem to have a thing for writing music.
I know, yeah.
Which is like an odd combination. But it's true. But yeah, I mean, fuck. You're gonna tell me I could be Phil Collins? I'm gonna be fucking Phil Collins. Anytime I get the opportunity to just ding 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 ding. Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Speaking of Phil Collins, random side note. Drumeo, which is a great drumming YouTube channel and a drumming academy of sorts, did a mini doc / interview thing with Phil Collins, because one of Phil Collins' son is part of Drumeo, and so he was the primary interviewer, and so they spoke at great lengths with Phil about his whole career front to back. So if you're a Phil Collins fan, you're gonna want to check that shit out. It's very dope. They even at one point, Phil still had like his road gig drum set that he would have like last played on, and they pulled it out and assembled the old kit and the whole 9 yards. It's very cool. You should definitely, if you're a Phil Collins fan, go and check that out. Sour Apple asks, if all future games you are going to play must have either 2-year early access before going the full game, or DLC to get the full experience, or microtransactions, which one are you choosing? So if you could choose the great branching path between, the life cycle of the game either being long early access before full release, or DLC model, which is kind of what we grew up with early days, DLC, we were expansion pack. But when I hear DLC, I still consider DLC, I still think of them as expansion packs, even though that's not the case anymore. But DLC to get the full experience, or microtransactions, which really, I'm going to change this, Mr. Black, because microtransactions and DLC is like fucking nearly identical.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say 2-year early access into full game, expansions like we used to have, or microtransactions.
Early access.
Do you have a reason why?
I think, I hate microtransactions.
Fair.
I just hate them. I rarely give games my money after I'm playing them. I mean, the runner-up would be the DLC. Because if it's DLC that I want to buy, then I'd buy it. If it's something I didn't want to buy, I wouldn't buy it. But I'm going to go early access because it gives me an opportunity to play the game early, get good at the game as it's developing, and maybe even have some input on the shape of the game. And oftentimes, before a game is released, a lot of sort of diehard people play the early access but they don't actually play it until, like, the general public don't actually play it until the game is actually released, which kind of gives you, you know, if you have 2 years of experience, yeah, the game changes a great deal, but if you have 2 years of experience, I'm making the assumption it's a competitive game. You know, I'm not.
This is any game. So if you had the option, all future games that you are going to play,
all future.
So whether it's competitive or not.
Damn. That kind of
might throw a small wrench. Then. Yeah, a little bit.
I'm going DLC then.
So expansions. Did we change DLC to expansions?
Expansion.
That's my answer. And it's not just because I grew up with it. I understand that in the grand scheme of things, it is, in today's market, it is, and why it's changed and moved away from expansion in most instances. There's still outliers. It's because it doesn't make as much money as bleeding people 3 fucking cents at a time in microtransactions or otherwise. I get that. But the quality of the content that we got during the expansionary period was, on average, far fucking better than whatever we were getting now in terms of ongoing game development, and like long-term, you know, a life cycle of games. With, you know, again, there's always going to be exceptions and outliers, but generally, if there was an expansion for a game, it ended up being pretty quality a lot of the time, especially for the games that even had a big enough base to make an expansion make sense. I mean, think about it. Fucking Brood War is an expansion. And to stay within Blizzard, Frozen Throne expansion.
Yep.
Right? Guild Wars had 3 or so amazing expansions. Mass Effect had fantastic expansions. So, like, I would take that model most of the time over any other model.
Elder Scrolls.
Yeah. Like, I always have to read this one ahead of time in my head just in case some crazy shit, because this is coming in from pulsating, ripe, developing titties. I always got to make sure there's nothing crazy. What's the craziest shit you ever did in high school for a girl?
For a girl? Craziest shit? I mean, I had a girlfriend my entire high school. So I hadn't, like, and she was my girlfriend before I got into high school.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, actually pretty
like
much leading into high school. Yeah, the summer before.
Yeah.
So, like, leading into high school, she was my girlfriend, and she was my girlfriend for the entire duration of high school. In fact, when I graduated, I went back to high school for another semester, and she was still my girlfriend. We didn't actually break up until about a year after high school, like after she graduated high school. So I didn't really do anything crazy for any girls because I only had one girl all of high school.
Yeah, I didn't do anything crazy either. I didn't have a girlfriend for all of it, but my girlfriend that I had in high school was in the end of grade 11 and then all of grade 12, and for 8 years in total after that. But I didn't do anything crazy. There was no need to do anything crazy. I wasn't like chasing, like, you know, do like some guys be chasing everything and anything and doing whatever they could to get, you know, attention or whatever. I wasn't really in that predicament. So I got, well, okay, this is not crazy, but I did manufacture meeting my first girlfriend in high school to a degree. So she was in French immersion. And so the only class that we shared was English class. And we had group project time, and it was a time where you were able to just pick your own group or whatever. And so I had never spoken with her, but I had and was semi-friends with a mutual friend of hers. And so I orchestrated being part, you know, us being all as a group, the 4 of us, and then used the fact that we were all part of a group and it was a big enough project that we had to, like, this was pre-social media, so we were exchanging emails or whatever. MSN Messenger was still a thing at that time. Which take me back to MSN Messenger, really. That we peaked on communication. We did not need more than ICQ and MSN Messenger. And so I kind of like, I orchestrated us meeting because I had seen her. She's literally sat on the other side of the class. I was like hormonal boy, so I was all head over heels immediately, and then orchestrated that to end up getting her contact information, and then use that as my inroads, and it worked.
There you go.
It did. It worked. No creepy stalker shit though, guys. Keep it in your fucking pants, for Christ's sake. Guys are getting crazy out there. These
different time back in the day, bro. It's a different time. It was a way different time. We didn't have these back in the day.
No, ain't nobody know how to social anymore. This shit is everyone done lost the plot. Dr. Samurai asks, did either of you watch the Dune series that was on HBO? He said, I thought it was solid.
No.
I did not.
No.
I did not. And final question comes in from Kimmets, who asks, if you could make the ultimate sandwich, what would be on that sandwich?
The ultimate sandwich. I mean, I'm a basic bitch. Just a can be any type of sandwich.
Yeah, this is just what is your essentially this comes down to like if you're making a sandwich, what is it?
Dude, I'm basic as fuck. Bread.
That's a good start.
A little bit, very little light. I mean light. Dijon mustard.
Okay.
Montreal smoked meat. Done. Pickle on top. Done. That's it.
Isn't that sacrilege to use Dijon instead of yellow mustard? Because don't they at Schwartz's, don't they use yellow mustard only and no Dijon?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But I like just a little bit because I don't really like the taste of mustard all that much. But I find the Dijon mustard, it just gives it a nice little like tang,
Dijon and yellow mustard are wildly different fucking
very
flavors.
Different.
Yeah,
just a little bit though. I'm not
crazy.
It's just a little bit. That's it.
You're walking the bottle past the open bread. Is what you're saying. Just
that's it. Just
the air out of the bottle escapes, and that's it.
That's it.
Man, I used to eat sandwiches every fucking day. Like that was like my life was cereal, sandwiches, and then whatever was being made at dinner time, like because whatever mom was making. And that was basically my entire fucking diet. Like for me, man. I mean, I've got lots of different favorite sandwiches, but if I'm just making a sandwich and I don't want to use 1,000 ingredients, then I'm just making a turkey fucking BLT. I want
solid
sliced turkey, bacon, maybe a little cheese, lettuce, tomato, mayo. And if I'm feeling spicy, a little bit of mustard, but typically, not fucking with that. And then on just whatever maybe toast the bread if I'm feeling fucking extra special. But otherwise, I mean, I'm just fucking going for it. That's kind of it. Otherwise, yeah. I mean, I'll eat fucking nearly any sandwich you put in front of me. I am a sandwich fiend. The problem is it's really hard to make healthy sandwiches unless you're like going out of your way to cook chicken breast or turkey breast. And at that point, I'm just going to eat the fucking chicken breast and turkey breast. I'm not going to convert that into sandwich size bites to put on a sandwich. I'm going to just eat the fucking chicken, eat the fucking turkey.
You know what? Can I switch mine?
Absolutely. Well, there's no ground rules, so go for it. What do you want?
I'm going Egg McMuffin. That's the ultimate. I'm sorry. It's beaten any sandwich known to man. You fucking get you just make a sandwich, you put the egg on there, a little bit of bacon on that bitch, crispy bacon.
Cheese.
Bro. Cheese. Oh yeah, have that cheese start melting, add that right on top.
It's got to be fake cheese. You can't use real cheese. It's got to be the most plastic adjacent cheese.
Yes. Basically plastic.
Yes.
If you don't have cheese, put plastic on there. It'll virtually be the same thing.
Nearly identical.
That is the ultimate. It's the ultimate.
Have we ever told the story about our junior high escapades with the Egg McMuffins?
Many times.
So the abridged version of this, just for those who haven't heard it, we were really truly obsessed with these sandwiches. I mean, I don't even know what put us onto it, because when we call it like an Egg McMuffin, I mean, it's because it's associated with McDonald's, but the reality is we didn't eat really any McDonald's. We just called them that because that's kind of what they were. And we weren't using, at home, we weren't using fucking English muffins. We were just using bread. Toasted bread, egg, cheese, bacon, done. Sometimes ketchup went on them, but otherwise that was it. And for whatever we were so enamored with this shit. And we just, at one point, we were in junior high, and we had a cafeteria in that junior high that had breakfast items in the morning. So if you got in there before classes started, which we always did, we were there probably 30, 45 minutes before classes started. And so a lot of people would hang out there. They might get something to eat there, and we would frequently do this. And so we would go in and we would get, they would make these, but it would be an English muffin. English muffin, 1 egg, bacon, that fake-ass cheese, and that's what you would get. They had a big black top in the back that they, do all the cooking with. And we would do that a lot. But after a while, one day Jeff was like, this just ain't enough. This just ain't, because we had started doing 2 eggs at home on our sandwiches. It wasn't 1, it was 2. And so we went in and he said, hey, Jeff said to the lunch lady, he's like, hey, can you get like a second egg on that? She's like, yeah, sure. It was like $1 extra, I think it was at the time, like for the extra egg. Yeah, absolutely. Just pay like $1 for the egg. Okay. 2 eggy McMaggie is what it was called, the double. And that lasted for a little bit. But then one day,
we had to upgrade.
It's not enough. We got to upgrade. It said, give us 2 extra eggs on this. And she looked at us and was like, okay. Because in her mind, she's probably thinking, structurally, this is going to start breaking down here pretty soon. Because they weren't breaking the yolk. The yolks were intact on most of these eggs. So stacking this shit up, you press it together, and it's like fucking 3 liters of yolk is just fucking all over the place.
Cholesterol like crazy.
It's just cholesterol like crazy. But she did it. And it was like, so it was $2 extra for like one for each egg. And at this point, the sandwich cost like $5, and this was back in like 2006 or 2005 or whatever the fuck. So it's like $5 breakfast sandwich.
Dude,
or
I
some
graduated
shit.
in 2006 from high school.
Sorry, this was like 2003. It's like 2003, 2002.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. It would be 2002. It's 2002. So 3 for a while. That wasn't enough. One day, we went in and we said, and she knows we're standing in line. She knows what's coming. And you can see the pallet of fucking eggs that they had in the background when you were standing in line. And we said, give us a 5-egg sandwich. And she actually said no. She said no, we can't, there's too many eggs. We can't do. And we just kept standing there and begging until finally she caved. And she said, fine, I'll make the 5-egg. The sandwich was fucking 7-8 inches tall. Yolk fucking everywhere. You couldn't even get the thing in your mouth. It cost like $10 for the one sandwich at that point. And we did it, but she said this has only happened one time, and she held to her word. She only let it happen once.
One time. Yeah.
And after that, we went back to 2. We dropped it back to 2 eggs.
I mean, it's diminishing returns, right? Like 2 eggs is good. Once you get to more than that, it's a mess. You can't really eat it the right way. You're just basically eating eggs. It's like it's not. Yes.
I wish. So, yeah. That is one thing I wish we had phones back then, so we could have had pictures of these sandwiches. But literally, just think about this: toasted English muffin. Think of how small of a footprint a toasted English muffin is. And then stack 5 fucking extra large. They were not the small egg, extra large eggs. Stack 5 of them with yolk still on top of one another.
Yeah, it's just
and
madness.
then the cheese and bacon. Oh, I forgot. We fucked up. We were getting them to put cheese between every fucking egg.
Yes. Yes.
They wouldn't do the bacon. That's too expensive. They're like, we literally can't.
Yeah,
We got
too much
but
bacon.
the cheese, it's just plastic, so they can do the cheese.
Yeah.
But so think 5 eggs, 5 or 6 slices of cheese, bacon, English muffin, probably fucking 2,000 calories right off the rip to start the day.
Oh, the good times, man.
But hey, we were grown boys back then. We absorbed that like it was fucking nothing, shook that shit off. I will say one more little story because it just reminded me of this. In that cafeteria, Smitty, who some people who would have been, on my stream, Brian, he, who remembers, if you're a millennial or whatnot, I don't think the Gen Zs, even the oldest Gen Zs would have been around for this, but when they first introduced them, do you remember, Mr. Black? Because our junior high had them for a short time. They didn't last very long. The flavored milks. And they were like Looney Tunes.
So there's
like banana, strawberry, fucking whatever else. Okay, the worst of all of them. The worst of all of them was the banana milk. That shit did not taste like milk nor banana. I don't know what it tasted like, but it tasted like death. They were fucking awful. And for whatever reason, even if you weren't lactose intolerant, they fucked your shit up. Everyone.
Oh, yeah. Didn't Brian drink so much of them fucking nasty ass things and fucking got wrecked?
Yes. So, but there's even more to it than that. Because you would have heard at some point on here or otherwise, Smitty at that time, at that age, if you gave him $5, you could get him to basically do anything. You want him to attempt to jump over a moving vehicle? $5. He's in. It didn't matter what the fuck it was. And so one morning, somebody, it wasn't me, it wasn't it was some other person, it was like Brian, because he wasn't even called Smitty yet. Like, Brian, how much for you to drink? I can't even remember how many. It was like 6 or more banana milks in a row to start the day. This was first thing in the morning. And he was like, yeah, I'll do it for $5. Plus, the cost of the fucking banana milk. Said, all right, deal. So Brian gets the banana milk. And this is early enough in the day, they just got the shipment. They weren't even cold, bro. They were fucking room temperature.
They come in those fucking crates. Those old fucking crates you like stand on and shit. All fucking stacked up, these little tiny cartons of fucking nast.
Just not even cold, just warm room temperature banana milk. But it was $5, and for Smitty, $5 was $5. So he started drinking banana milk, and credit to him, he crushed like the first 4, and then it slowed down a lot. After the first 4, he wasn't moving very quick, and he got through all 6. It took a while, and for whatever reason, because when you're a young lad, boys are fucking insane, truly insane. One of the guys, 2 of the guys, I'll use Samson, one of them, his last name, and then one other guy who I can't remember his last name, but 2 of them, pretty big guys. And Brian wasn't very big at the time. Grab Brian by the ankles. I wish I was making this shit up. They grabbed this is in the middle of the cafeteria. Grabbed his ass by the ankles, flipped him upside down in front of the whole cafeteria. And then a third guy walked over and hammer-fisted him in the dick and balls.
Oh, boy. Bro.
After 6 or more banana milks, lukewarm banana milk, this man instantaneously projectile vomited.
Oh, bro. Fucking nasty, bro. Just nasty.
That shit fucking teleported across the room. Of course, the lunch lady is like the whole time screaming, but nobody fucking listens to the lunch lady. So, and the principal's office is at the in our school was only about 15 feet from the entrance to the cafeteria, and so obviously, principal's hearing whatever the fuck just came out of Brian's mouth and the screams that came after, and then everyone in the cafeteria losing their collective shit, and he comes running down the hall and sees all he sees is Brian on the ground holding his groin, 4 liters of puke banana milk all over the floor, and of course the other guys like ran away and like sat down in the back of the room or some shit, trying to like shirk responsibility, whatever the fuck it was. But I had to get that story in there because it reminded me of that moment in the cafeteria. What a fucking rip! That's like 2002. That's a long time ago.
Oh yeah, bro.
Oh my god. So long ago. Fuck. Anyway, on that glorious note, if that doesn't paint a picture in your mind, I don't know what will. We're done for this week, ladies and gentlemen, and we will see you all next week. Thank you very much for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoyed yourselves, and if you're here live, and if you're listening to us on the car on the way home, well, then get home safe, and we'll see you guys again next week for more of whatever this is. And, of course, more StarCraft. And so until then, stay safe, have a good one, and peace!
Peace!